And we are live. It's Friday night. It's just me and Scott again. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Yeah, it's Friday night. There's a lot been going on this week in the world of West Ham. You will have seen Dan do a few videos this week. We're going to give our thoughts on some of them videos and players that we've signed and players that we're linked with. But yeah, there's so much to get through tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. But first of all, Scott, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. I'm all good. I'm all good. It's been a busy week, isn't it? Everything's going off. West Ham have signed players, and yeah, it's a bit unusual, all this, isn't it? After weeks and weeks of nothing, we two players through the door.
Well, this is what happens in the transfer window. I mean, last week we was all sitting there and we were seeing the comments come up, and people were saying, "Oh, we've bottled it. We're not going to sign Diouf," and then bang, he's a couple of days later he's through the door. So
yeah,
maybe we should be a little bit more patient. I know it's frustrating. It is frustrating. We all want to see them signings, but as you said, Scott, we have got one through the door. First of all, before we talk about another one that's potentially coming through the door today that I know you're buzzing for, what's your thoughts on Malik Diouf?
Oh, mate, look, I know very, very little about him. He looks decent. He's quite quick by the looks of it. Yeah, he's young, he's hungry, he's got a point to prove. Allegedly, he's Champions League quality. That's what the rumours are having it. And, the last two players we signed from that club have turned out all right. So let's hope he does as well. But one thing I've got to say, though, right, have you seen that video today or whenever it was with Soucek?
Yeah.
Where he's like, they're counting down the hours till he meets him and he's like putting his arm like that.
I think that's a bit of a piss take of the photo that come out during the week where Mark Noble come back to the training ground and it said Mark Noble meeting all our new signings and there was no one there. So I think it was a bit of a piss take from that way. But yeah, look, my thoughts on him, mate. I'll be honest, a couple of weeks ago, didn't even know nothing about him. But from what I've seen, he looks like he's gonna be a good player, mate. You don't get many left backs that are 6 foot tall. He's attacking. He likes to go forward. If you watch his highlights video on YouTube, he scores some screamers. He likes to get forward. He's big, as you said, mate. He looks hungry. He's young. And if that's the way Potter's going to go with future signings and what he's looking to build, then I'm all for it, mate. As you said, we've had a bit of luck with a couple of previous signings from Prague. So, yeah, no, it's a good signing. I'm looking forward to seeing him in a West Ham shirt. And to be honest, watching his videos throughout the week, he comes across as a really likable person. I mean, I will question some of his answers when they said the team you're looking forward to playing Everton. What's your favourite music? He don't listen to music. What else he said? He's come here to win trophies. I don't know what he must have watched or had him sold to him, but yeah.
Sure, we weren't watching the David Moyes reel, thinking his favourite team's Everton and he's here to win trophies.
I'm really looking forward to seeing him, and hopefully, we'll see him in action tomorrow because we have got a pre-season game tomorrow. First game of the pre-season. We'll talk about that later in the show. But yeah, look, hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know it's hot. I know it's warm. But me and Scott are here to warm you up. I don't even know where I was going with that. I'll start again. I don't even know where I was going with that. What I do, I edit this out. We ain't live, are we? Oh, we are live. It's hot. It's getting to me head, Scott. But yeah, look, let's get straight into it. So we woke up this morning and the news broke that Kyle Walker-Peters looks like he's going to join West Ham on a free transfer after being released from Southampton during the summer. 28-year-old right back, can play left back as well. Very attacking. Scott, for me, he sounds perfect. Someone that we need for cover for Wan-Bissaka and Diouf. Scott, what's your thoughts on Kyle Walker-Peters?
Mate, I've never rated the guy. Never rated the guy. When he was at Southampton, didn't rate him at all. People saying, he can cause us problems going forward. Never did. He's just a player that, for me, right, this screams a Sullivan signing, right? Because we've been linked with him. And if you believe the rumours, Potter and McCauley didn't want him, and that's why he was going Besiktas. And all of a sudden, there's been a shift, and he's turned Besiktas down to come and play for us. So, as I said, for me, it screams Sullivan.
Yeah, well, I think he's got the agent is Salthouse, so it all put. And the thing is, it's a free transfer, but when you think about it, free transfers usually still cost you money, obviously agent fees and bigger contracts. But I'll be honest, Scott, like I'm a bit. It's not an exciting signing for me. Like I'm not buzzing, but I think it is a signing we need as cover for, as I said, Wan-Bissaka and Diouf, because when you actually look at him, if like he is a player that likes to get forward and he can take people on. Maybe he's lost a little bit of confidence. Southampton haven't been great. I know he done well for him in the Championship, but last season was a poor season from everyone connected with Southampton. He might be a player that, give him a bit of confidence, get him around better players, he will be a decent player for us. And don't forget, he did play for England. He got 2 England caps.
Yes.
So
he won the under-20 World Cup with England. So he has got the experience. Like you said, he's played in the Premier League. He's got the experience in the Premier League. Like you said, it's not overwhelming, is it? It's not what. I suppose in a way it's a sort of signing we should be expecting to make, because we were nearly as crap as Southampton last season anyway. But I just don't understand this. That when we were linked with a player like Ramsdale, everyone's up in arms. We don't want him. He's useless. But then we go and buy another Southampton player that, in my opinion, isn't that great. Look, I hope he goes on to prove me wrong. But the only plus sides are, mate, is that he has got that experience and he can cover, because we know we're going to lose Wan-Bissaka to the AFCON. Well, we don't know. We presume we're going to lose him, and also we're going to lose Diouf as well. So having that back up there, but I'll be honest, mate, I'd rather keep hold of Emerson until next season.
It's a strange one with Emerson, because I've heard that he actually wants to leave the club. I think he wants to go back sort of abroad. So if he wants to go, then I suppose that's probably why we have gone for Walker Peters. But look, Fulham were linked with him heavily. I think there was even rumours that Tottenham were looking at him again at the beginning of the transfer window. So look, I'm one of these, Scott. I'm not. It's not a sign. Look, we've got 3. Obviously, if you include Todibo, because we had to sign him on a permanent this summer, that's 3 defenders in. We obviously know that we're lacking up front and on the wings and midfield. So at the moment, seeing only 3 defenders come through, I know we obviously got the boy from Celtic, but he's not really going to be in the first team next season. So look, it's one of these signings that it could work out great. I said to you earlier when we had the conversation on WhatsApp, it could be. I don't really judge players anymore because of obviously what happened with Dawson. Because when Dawson come in, we was all against it, then it turned into, it turned into one of our best signings in recent years. So
yeah, and that's it, mate. Sometimes the underwhelming signings are the ones that prove you wrong and prove to be a good signing, but. I don't know. Look, it's just that's my opinion. There'll be people out there who agree with me. There'll be people out there who disagree with me. I know Dan completely disagrees with me. He's gutted that he ain't here to have it out with me.
You broke a few hearts, including mine, last week when you said about 4 nails. But we'll move on from that. I'm still not over it, Scott. No, but look, it's an opinion. Football is about opinions. There's players that I haven't rated that you rate, and then look. What I want Walker Peters to do is prove you wrong, because if he does, then he's having a good season. Yeah. And I think working with the likes of Wan-Bissaka and Diouf, and if we do keep Emerson, it's another good option to have. So,
exactly, mate. And that's the thing, you know me, I ain't going to get into rows like and some people and stuff like that. But I see where you're coming from with the cover. It makes sense that he can cover both positions. That is a good player, a versatile player to have in the squad. So long as he's coming in as a backup, it will work out. And I said I hope he does prove me wrong, but for me, because the position we're in now, it probably, like I said, it's a make sense signing. But as I said to you, I don't like the fact that this seems more of a Sullivan signing than it does a manager signing, and that's what annoys me more than anything else. We want the players that Potter wants. We can't keep having these Sullivan, what do we call them? Sullivan surprises. Which we know that's what he does do. And this is, like you said, the agent, Salthouse, friend of Sullivan. It just reeks of it, and it's part and parcel of what I fed up with seeing at our club. I want more trust put in the managers that for the players that they want to bring in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. Where's it gone? I'll come back to that one in a minute. Matt's put, never been a fan of saying football's about opinions. People talk bollocks and people need to remember facts don't have feelings. Well, I'm not going to agree with that, mate, because in life, it don't matter. Everyone is entitled to have an opinion on whatever they want. As long as there's breath in our bodies, we're all going to have opinions on things. Not everyone's going to agree. Like, you don't agree. I don't agree with Scott sometimes. I don't agree with Nicky. I don't agree with Dan. They don't agree with me. It's part of life. Whether you're having a conversation about a film, football, whatever, it's about opinion. So everyone, it don't matter whether you've got a YouTube channel or whether you're down the pub with your mates. Everyone's got opinions, unfortunately. So that's the way it is.
The funny thing is, mate, is how we all started out doing this, because Friday Night Pint was just us sitting in a pub talking about football and the 4 different opinions. So
no opinion is right or wrong. Facts are facts. Facts are right. But everyone can have an opinion. Like, if Scott don't agree that it's a good signing for us, then that's Scott's opinion. Like, I'm one of these ones. It's not a signing that I'm gonna jump for joy with, but it might work. He might turn out to be our best signing. When Wan-Bissaka signed last season, I remember people saying, waste of money, Man United reject. Hammer of the year.
Exactly, mate. And that's the thing.
I mean?
You're gonna take Man United rejects like Wan-Bissaka all day long, because he was a breath of fresh air last season. If we had 11 players that showed that commitment and what he showed in the games that he played last season, things would be different. But
I remember when we signed Dawson, Nicky said Dawson was the worst player he's ever seen.
Yep.
When we left,
he was a hero.
Nicky wanted to sign a new contract. He wanted to keep him, like we all did. Like, we weren't. So sometimes these signings can, work out. But I know we'll probably talk more about Walker Peters once the deal is officially done. It's not done yet, but it looks likely it's going to be announced. Hopefully, he'll be travelling to America with a squad when they leave next week. But there is a couple of other players, Scott, that we've been linked with this week. First one I want to talk about is Jack Grealish. Now, Scott, do you think we have got any chance of signing Jack Grealish? He'll probably be on loan. I know Jack Grealish is reported saying that he'd be open to the move. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of clubs after him because he is a talent. He had a bad season last season at Man City. Got frozen out of the team. Didn't even go to the Club World Cup with them. He's 29 years old. 3 years ago, he signed for £100 million, and now he looks like he's going to go out on loan. Scott, first of all, would you be happy to have him at West Ham? And do you think this could be a deal that we could get over the line?
Do you know what? He's never been a type of player that I like, right? But he brings something to your side and he can make an impact. I think City, in a way, wasn't the right move for him. With the type of player he was. Look, don't get me wrong, he was fantastic one season for him, but it just didn't really fit. Do you know what I mean? He's for me, I just didn't see the fit, but he could work well for us. A different dimension, a different dynamic, not full of pace, but as we see, and we've seen when he's turned up at the London Stadium playing against us, he draws so many fouls. And as much as we still ain't seen it yet, when you've got a set piece taker like James Ward-Prowse, it adds another dynamic, another dimension that we haven't got, and he's a different type of player to the wingers that we've had. So I think it would be a good signing. It'd be a bit of a statement as well if we could get him. I know it's going to be difficult because of the wages. What's he on? 300 grand a week, something like that at City?
Yeah.
You know, so that's going to be a big stumbling block. But West Ham have shown, you know, they can afford 150k wages, so long as Man City are willing to do it. So I can see it getting across the line, and I think it could be a good signing for us. I really do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I'm a big fan of Jack Grealish. You know, when he signed for City that first season when they won the treble, he was unreal. You know, he was a brilliant signing for them. Do I think we're going to sign him? Probably not. I think there's going to be too many other clubs in for him. I think it's a deal that we shouldn't really concentrate too much on and miss out on other players. It could scream out. It could be a Jesse Lingard type signing on loan. It could turn out to be brilliant, work well for us. I think the fans would take to him. I think he's the type of player that we like. You know, I've always said one thing I loved about Jack Grealish is his attitude. You know, when you see him speak after games, he's just down to earth. He's just like a fan on the pitch. He loves the game. You know, he's had his ups and downs. He obviously we know what he likes off the field. He likes to have a drink. He's a party boy. So it could be a match made in heaven, or it could be a terrible signing. But I'm one that I'd give him a chance. If there was any chance we could get there, imagine having Grealish, Bowen, you know, Paquetá, Fulkrug. You know, it's just his wages that I think is going to be a stumbling block. Unless City are willing to pay half of it, which would even still 150 grand a week is still a lot of money. But yeah, no, as you said, mate, he's good at what he does. He draws fouls. He can take people on. You know, he lost a lot of confidence at Man City. Pep Guardiola sort of lost faith in him. So we don't know what went on behind the scenes there. But look, he's not. City didn't pay £100 million for him for no reason. You know, they see something in him when he was at Aston Villa, and he proved it when he first went to City. So, yeah, whether that's going to happen, mate, I don't know, but it'd be definitely interesting.
Well, that's the thing, mate. It will, and as I said, it'd be a bit of a statement by us as well, because you know he is an England international. He's a talented footballer. You know, he's probably close to what you get as an old school footballer now. You know, I remember seeing pictures in the summer of him sitting in the working man's club. Yeah, how many footballers, modern day footballers on that sort of money would go to a working man's club? You know, and it's you know he seems a nice guy, a nice character as well. He always does stuff, you know, for you know, there's disabled children he's done things for and helped out, and he's always one to sort of interact with the mascots and that type of thing. And I think you need to see that in footballers a lot more, because they're paid stupid amounts of money, and probably 80% of them don't give anything back to the fans, if you get what I mean. You know, and it's nice that you see he has that interaction with the fans and things like that, and he just seems like a normal person, whereas a lot of these footballers just seem to be living on a different planet. So, you know, it could be a good coup for the club if we get him through the door. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, definitely. And he's 29 years old. You know, he's should be at the peak of his career now. He's probably got maybe one, maybe two moves left in his career. So he's got to make that decision. I know when we was all chatting in the group the other day, and I mentioned that obviously Everton are linked with him. He lives up that way. So that might be the easy choice, going to Everton, you know, new stadium. So it'll be difficult. It's just whether one thing is like if Potter wants him, then you know we've got to work hard to try to get him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and this is what I'm saying. We bring the manager in, and we keep getting the Sullivan signings. You know, we need the faith to be left with the manager. You know, at the end of the day, we need the manager to make decisions. This is what we brought him in for. This is what we're calling him for, to get these transfer deals done. And well, not done, sorry, because that's what Sullivan's meant to be doing, but identifying the targets and the type of players that we want. You know, we said we were looking to bring the average age of the squad down. We signed a young left back. We signed Walker Peters, who, like you said, he's 28 or 29. You know, so it has dropped it a little bit. But you know, we want players that are hungry, and like you said, Grealish probably now is hungry to prove a point. And, you know, it could work. You know, we saw it with Lingard. I know we keep reverting back to that. It's probably one of the best loan signings that we've ever had. And, it's hard to emulate that and keep getting them right, but sometimes you do. And I just think it'll be good to give him that stepping stone to get his career back on track.
Yeah, a bit exactly how I said, a bit like Jesse Lingard. He could come to us, have a brilliant season, and then he can just go back to Man City or make a move somewhere else. So it is going to obviously be. I could never see it being a permanent signing because I don't think we'd pay that sort of money for someone like Jack Grealish. It would cost. How much do you reckon it costs now in today's game? 50 million, 50, 60?
Definitely. Yeah.
They're going to want to recoup some of that money back that they paid for him. But no, look, it's another signing that obviously everyone's talking about. You see people in the chat giving their opinions, saying they'd like him. Some people saying they wouldn't like him. He won't fit in. Some people saying give him the free role and watch him throw. You know what I mean? So it's one of them one. But do you want to take a few comments, Scott, before we move on? Or
I've been trying to start some comments, mate, but my mouse is broke. So I'm having to, because my things, I managed to start a couple. Because my laptop's propped up on saying, my mouse is broke, I can't really star them. I've started a couple, just seen two. This one they were saying Kufal only costs 5 million, so it's not always how much you spend that matters. This is us talking about Kyle Walker-Peters with being on a free transfer. Kent, he's impressed with him coming in. Really good squad, really good squad player, versatile, can play 4 positions, and he'll get his fair share of games this season. And he's nearly always fit. And that's a true point, because when I was looking at his transfer stats on the transfer market, he hasn't missed many games of football, and so that is a plus side. But as I said, it's just it could work out. I hope I'm wrong. Same as when we got Potter, and it didn't. I said what I said in his first game. I wasn't overly excited for Potter. I want him to prove me wrong. So I hope he does. I hope he does the same sort of thing. But I don't know whether you can go through the comments, mate, because I can't.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I was on a different page then, so let's. What about if we put them up on the screen? Do they come up on the screen?
What's that?
They coming up?
Yeah, they're small though.
Yeah.
I need to get a new mouse.
What I'll do is I'll try to star some when I see them and then flick them through. But let's have a look. So Matt Rainey saying, I love everything about Jack Grealish. However, he's very soft. If you touch his socks, he will fall down. But he will win us fouls. Yeah, that's true. He does go down a bit too easy. I don't even think he wears them little tiny shin pads that are like postage stamps, like a lot of players do.
And this is the thing, if we have got a good free kick tackle. Whether he plays alongside James Ward-Prowse is a different story, but Grealish can take a free kick himself. So, we don't have players that draw a lot of fouls anymore. I think one of the main players that used to do that was Hernandez. Back when he was playing for us, it's the one thing for such a small guy, he drew in so many fouls. So, we don't get enough chances in around the box, and we have got some decent free kick takers.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. John saying my son played with Kyle Walker-Peters for 5 years. Even as a kid, he got around the pitch very well and has got a great attitude. So yeah, no, it's good to hear, mate. There's a lot of people I've seen in the as the comments have been going through. I've seen a lot of people that are quite happy with the signing. I think it's always when it's a free transfer, it's like it's a win-win, really, isn't it? Because
yeah.
You haven't had to fork out 20, 25 million for him. So if it don't work out,
this is the thing, mate. And like you're saying, if his attitude is if he is a player with a good attitude, it's a bonus to the squad. It adds to the squad. This is the thing. It's like I saw in the week that we were linked with Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea. Why you'd want him at our football club? The guy's got a bad attitude. He's a selfish player. You see him playing for Chelsea, how selfish he is, and the guy takes 5 chances to score 1 goal. He's not going to get them sort of chances at West Ham.
You talk about bad attitude, Scott. One player that we was linked with last season, Duran, obviously went out to Saudi Arabia or wherever he went, and then he's gone on loan to Fenerbahce. He's fell out with Mourinho already. He only had 2 training sessions, fell out of him because apparently his attitude stinks. Mourinho said he was late for training, and someone like Mourinho ain't going to stand for that. And I think they're trying to get rid of him already.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, mate. For a guy that's 21 years old, he's become a journeyman already. You know, and he's a decent talent. And this is the thing, you know, you could have all the talent in the world, but if your attitude's not right, you're never going to make it. Well,
this is the
he's
thing,
sort of made it because he's earned a load of money, but
this is the one thing I've always said. I've seen a lot of players down the years that haven't always had the talent, but have had the right attitude. And that's why they stay around for a lot longer than some of these players that have got all the talent, but have got a poor attitude. And that's why you get players like Duran, who's probably going to move. He's probably going to have about 10, 15 clubs in his career.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they get there and then they just cause trouble. And as I said, Mourinho ain't going to stand for things like that. So that's probably don't get me wrong, I'd fucking take him tomorrow. But look, another couple of players that we have been linked with as well, as we are talking about transfers, Harvey Elliott and Tyler Morton from Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
obviously they're talking about 55 million for both players. Tyler Morton is sort of like a holding defensive midfielder, 22 years old. Harvey Elliott, we know his talents. Once again, Scott, do you think that I know that we have been in talks with Liverpool since Monday. I know there are other clubs interested, but it seems like we might be setting the pace a bit early for this one, and we might looking to get these deals done. It might be the case of we've got to take both if we want Harvey Elliott. And by the looks of Morton as well, he looks like a decent prospect. So both 22 years old, once again, fits into what Potter wants to do, get the squad down, average age, two young players. What's your thoughts on them, Scott?
Well, this is the thing, mate. Like you're saying, it's very much the right type of signings, the signings that Potter's looking for. Young, hungry players, you know, who's going to add a bit of energy to the side, bring that average age of the squad down. You know, I think the reason why we need to get this done early is because there's going to be a lot of clubs coming in. I think if we can, do you know what? I think that signing Elliott, if we get him, that could be the signing of the summer. Because he's such a talented player. You know, you saw him with the England under-21s, what he's capable of. You see him last season in the games that he did play for Liverpool. And the frustrating thing is we've been sitting here saying we want to see players like Potts given a chance. You know, these two players come in could then potentially push Potts further down the pecking order. So you've got one of your own homegrown that you could potentially be sort of squeezing out a little bit. But also adding a bit of competition. But both of them players fit the right mould of what we want.
I get what you're saying now, but I think that someone like Freddie Potts, if he wants to step up that level, he needs competition, and it'll be good to have two young, hungry players battling out for the same position, because Ward-Prowse and Soucek ain't going to be around for much longer. So they're two players that could be regular starters, you know, playing alongside someone like Alvarez if we keep him. You know, that's what we need. We see it so often last season in our midfield, Scott, how slow we were. You know, getting from both boxes, from box to box, we were so slow. Like, some of our players looked like they was waiting for an Uber to pick them up to drop them off down the opposition's box. You know, we can't do that this season. That's why we lost a lot of games last season, because the midfield is key. You know, you've got to win your battles in midfield, and when you can't even get around near players, when players are taking 1-2 touches, and like I watched some games last season where the opposition goalkeeper would get the ball, he'll roll it out to the right back or the left back, 2 or 3 passes, and they're in our box because they've just opened us up. You know, we can't keep doing that.
No, and that's the thing, mate. And that come through partially, I think, from poor management. You know, how we got tore apart so many times. I think we said this last week and a week before, that the amount of times we saw one straight pass through our midfield lead for it. I think, you know, against Chelsea we see it. It was just one straight pass. You know, and that's something that we need to cut out. And I think a lot of that was down to the position of the players, the coaching, the manager. You know, you should, as a Premier League side, even with a slow midfield that we have, we should never have been cut open as easily as we were last season. And the one thing I will give Potter, he has sort of made that a bit more difficult. Do you know what I mean? We didn't get cut open as much as we did under Lopetegui, but it's still a big, big worry. And like I said, fill that midfield with players with a bit more drive, a bit more pace about them, but just have a more structured midfield will go a long, long way next season, I think. And as I said, these two youngsters potentially come in will fit the bill perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, look, Harvey Elliott is my first choice this transfer window. I think if we manage to somehow pull off that transfer, I think it'll be massive for the football club. I think, Liverpool see potential in him all them years ago when he was at Fulham. They took him to Liverpool. Liverpool's obviously a tough team to break into, to be a regular starter. They're a top team. Liverpool are a massive football club, one of the biggest in the world. So, no, look, and Tyler Morton, I've seen him obviously play for the under-21s. I haven't really seen much of him play for Liverpool, but by what I was reading about him today, and I looked at some Liverpool fans commenting on a post about it, and they was all saying that they'd be disappointed and gutted to see both of them go. So, no, it'd be a great coup for the club if we could get Harvey Elliott in and Tyler Morton as well. 55 million for two England under-21 internationals. You think that, like, you've seen some of the players that have gone, even today, Madueke went from Chelsea to Arsenal for 55 million. We're getting two potential future players for the same price. So it could be a great bit of business for West Ham if we can get it done. So Sullivan, fucking get this deal over the line. Get it done, please.
That's the thing, mate. I think it excites you a lot more. A player like of Harvey Elliott's talent that you can see, and he's got a point to prove. And the thing is, look, don't get me wrong, he's coming to West Ham to try and, if he comes, to try and push us forward, but use us as a stepping stone. And there's a lot of thinking when you say stepping stones and things like that. But sometimes, so long as the players give their all and then potentially move on and make the club a big amount of money, it's unfortunate in the nature of the beast. We're not a selling club like we used to be, but sooner or later, the players outgrow our achievement, so to speak. They're a better player, like with Declan Rice. He became more of a talent than what West Ham could have allowed him to be, if you get what I mean. You've got to use them players that are talented but not getting into the big side. You've got to use them to your advantage the same way that they're using you to their advantage, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, mate. And sometimes, like, players like Harvey Elliott, he's just had a great championship for England in the summer. He's looking now thinking, I'm too good to be sitting on a bench, even though he's at Liverpool. And as I said, Liverpool, great team, fantastic season last year. He's too good to be sitting on a bench. But there will be other clubs. There is going to be competition. You can that Newcastle are interested. I think there's a couple of other clubs as well interested. I think there's a couple of teams abroad that are interested in him. So it's about how we sell the club to him, and we've got to make him feel loved. We've got to make him feel like we want him, that we Potters make him feel that you're going to be you're starting for me, So yeah, but look, Tyler Morton probably won't come in and be a starter, but as you said, mate, Freddie Potson and him having two young, hungry players that want to play in the first team it's always better for a manager to have a headache when he's got talent to choose from than have a headache where he's got fucking shit like he did last season. Let's face it, Potter coming in and he inherited a poor squad, So as I said the other day on Nick's show, Potter wasn't my first choice, but I'm getting behind him because I think it's a sort of fresh start for him. Now we can see what he's trying to do. He wants to try to get in the younger players. So yeah, I really hope it works out for him because, as I always say, mate, if a West Ham manager is doing well, we're doing well. The fans are happy, and we want to be smiling again. We don't want to be like we have been the last couple of seasons. We want to be happy hammers. Come you on.
Most definitely, mate. And that's it, and that's what we do want. And as I said, Potter's come in. He's got this mould of player that he wants. He wants the younger, hungry players. And if you've got a chance to sign a player like the talent that Harvey Elliott's got, you've got to take that opportunity. And as I said, let's see. To sign him when there's bigger teams in bigger competitions than what we're going to be in is a big thing. You know, if he's got ambitions to get in the England side, he's going to be one that's starting every week, and probably that's something we can offer him more than some other clubs. You know, so in that respect, it makes us more of an attractive prospect, and we have got a little of a rebuild project coming on as well. So, and look, don't get me wrong, there's still some decent players at our football club. You know, I know we've lost Kudus, and rumours are that Paquetá is going to go out the door, but you've still got the likes of Bowen, you know, who's a true professional and will draw you. Is a bit of a draw to come and play at the club. He ain't a Kudus or he ain't got the fanfare that a Kudus and a Paquetá have around him.
Do you know
he's
what?
A top quality player.
I don't think Paquetá is going to leave. I don't think he's going to leave this summer. I think he's going to stay with us. I think we're going to get one more season out of him. I really do. I think like what I've seen him in the videos and the way he is with the team and the squad. If you've been watching the videos lately of the training, there seems to be a different spirit. There seems to be a togetherness in that squad now. And what I think with Paquetá, last season he had so much weight on his shoulders with what was going on off the field. I think now that's been lifted. Give him the free role. Let him get back to that Paquetá we knew from a couple of seasons ago. And just maybe we could say, like, look, you know what? Because I think even if he left next season, we still get a decent price for him. I think we've stood by him, you know, and the club have supported him during these tough times. We've still played him. You know, we've tried to play him to take when he's on the pitch, it takes his mind off of what's going on. But then we see it last season. Do you remember him breaking down in tears, which was hard for us all to watch? It was all just getting too much for him. But he never pulled out of games. He always wanted to play. And I think you should say, you know what, we supported you. Just give us one more year. We'll see how it goes. But I reckon next season we'll see a different Paquetá, and I think he'll be one hell of a player for us.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. But this is something that does worry me as well, though, is this what Ben says here. His best friend's leaving. And, you know, he's really good friends with Emerson, you know, and you see
but
it.
He's not going to go where Emerson is going, is he?
Oh, no, of course not. You know, and footballers do. But sometimes...
And you're forgetting that he's also very good friends with Guilherme as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But also, you see this at the start of last season when you look at Areola at the start of last season. He looks a bit lost, right? Because the whole contingent of players who were in his little clique, right? I'm not saying there is cliques, but all the French-speaking players all went. And sometimes it does affect you because you don't, even though you get on with everybody, you don't enjoy walking into that dressing room as much. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it can have a negative effect on players when a lot of players who they really bond with and really get on with, and go out the door, and they've got to start again, you know, bond with other players and bring other players, you know. But, you know, you look at Paquetá, like you said, he'll move. If he does move, he moves somewhere else, you know, and Emerson won't be there. But sometimes it makes it a lot easier to be there. But I hope he does stay because he is a talent. I hope he stops throwing himself on the floor. That's the biggest thing I want him to stop doing. But he's a talented player, and we've got a lot more to see from him, and I'm excited to see him link up with Füllkrug a bit more because I really like Füllkrug as a player. You know, the brain that he's got, you know, how he tries to bring people into play, his unselfishness and that type of thing. It's the type of player that you want to play with Paquetá because they're on similar wavelengths with the balls that they play and things like that.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And I think that, as I said, with what went on last season with him, it looks like he's going to be getting found not guilty, which is massive for him, just personally for him. And yeah, like even if we kept him, I can see him at least stay until January at least. But I'd like to see him just be given that free role again. Let him dictate the midfield. Let him dictate what happens. Let us play to his strengths, you know. And as I said, mate, the link-up play, you know, we've got Somerville, looks like he's coming back in a few weeks. Obviously, someone mentioned Cornet there. I mean, I'm not going to completely rule Cornet out because he had a terrible time when he first come to us. We've loaned him out last season. He went to a couple of clubs. He's back now, working hard in pre-season, just like Aguerd. Everyone was saying that Aguerd was unhappy and he wants to leave the football club. All the videos I've seen of Aguerd this week, he looks happy. He's been looking after Juve, you know, showing him around the place. So it could be a fresh start for him as well.
Yeah. And this is the thing, you know, the form that he had last season, he looks really good. Look, I know Spain's the level of the type of football in Spain's a lot less physical than what it is in the Premier League. Premier League's much quicker and much more physical. And Aguerd did struggle with that physicality. But if Potter's looking to play this 5 at the back or 3 at the back system, whatever way you look at it, playing alongside players like Chadibo and Kilman, who have got a bit more physicality about them, you can allow Aguerd to concentrate more as, playing like a sweeper role. Playing that sort of system, playing the middle of the 2 centre backs. And doing it that way, letting them get involved in the physicality of side of it. And he, as we've seen when he was playing well for us, the pace that he holds to get back and win the ball when a player gets in behind, it's something we've missed. But it's just whether he can sort of adapt to the physicality side of the Premier League. That's the thing. He's a good player. He is a good player. And he will fit in that type of system. So it'd be interesting to see what we do. I'll be happy to keep him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. One other thing just coming to me head, I just wanted to talk to you about. Spoke to you about Nick the other day. Obviously, there's rumours that Everton are looking to take Thomas Soucek from us. Obviously, you know why David Moyes obviously brought him to West Ham. David Moyes could see him as his new type of Fellaini for Everton. What's your thoughts on Thomas Soucek, Scott? I think the rumoured amount is about 12 million. I think it's too low. Would you be disappointed if we did sell Thomas Soucek?
Yeah, I would, to be honest, mate. The guy's not got the best technical ability. We know that, and he comes under a lot of stick from fans. But we've been reliant on that guy for 2 or 3 seasons, to get us out of trouble in games, pop up with the odd goal. When we're moaning about players not putting enough effort into the team, that's one bloke that puts effort in every single week. And he's a good guy to have around the dressing room. I know he's like his mates with Soufal, and Soufal's gone, but his attitude's good, his training ethic's good, everything about him, barring his technical ability, is good. And I don't think it's time. I think he's still got a role to play within this squad. And I'll be disappointed to let him go, and also let him go to Everton, and for that sort of money. I think he's worth a lot more to us.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people saying in the comments there, and I totally agree. It's like you're taking out someone that goals and goal involvements is like 15 a season, like with what he can bring to the team. He just, if he causes frustration in the opposition box. How many times did we see him win free kicks on the edge of the box, win penalties last season? He always pops up with a goal at the back post, or it's just something. He's always involved. And I agree with you, Scott. He's not the most mobile. He's not the most quickest. Technically, he's not the most gifted, but like talent-wise. But as a person, as an attitude, as someone that will stick his head into anything, we've seen him bleed for this team. We've seen him take kicks to the head. He's just an all-round, just a generally great person. You know what I mean? You have to have someone like that in your change room. And I think losing him would be, I agree, especially for 12 million in today's game. I think Soucek is worth 20, 25, easy. So, and we've had, when did he sign? 2020. So he's been there five years now. He's been a great servant for us. And I'm not surprised that David Moyes is after him, because he knows David Moyes knows that he'll bring a Thomas Soucek into Everton change room and it will change it. Just like I'm surprised Soufal hasn't been linked with Everton yet. I can imagine him ending up there.
And that's the thing, mate. Like you said, Moyes knows what he gets with him, so it makes sense for Moyes to want him. Because he does know what he can bring, and as I said, the character of the player, the attitude of the player. It would be interesting to see whether Soucek can entertain that. Because of the the relationship he probably had with Moyes and go from there. So honestly, I hope we keep him one more season at least. I think he's worth. While this rebuild's going on, he should stick around, because as I said, when you're rebuilding, things are going to go wrong. And it's nice to have someone who you can rely on, who can step in and try and help steady the ship if things are going a bit, unaware. That type of thing. I think it makes sense to keep him around. I've managed to start some more comments, mate.
And if you're listening, David Moyes, you leave our potato salad loving Czech warrior alone. He's staying at West Ham.
Rich West Ham, £5 super chat. Cheers, mate. Great chat as always, guys. Let's get the likes button smash. People come on your irons.
If you are watching and you haven't hit the like button yet, just give us a thumbs up. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel out. It helps share the videos, and we're really going to try to smash that 100k subscribers this season. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and we're really looking for next season to really kick on and get back to what we love doing, all of us. So hit that like button, please.
That's it. Tom Baywalter says, Morton don't excite me. Potts has a better championship record than he did. Don't see why we're going after Morton when we have Potts. We got defense is nearly done with a striker and two midfielders away from at least top 8. Got a good feeling about next season. A bit of positive. And this is the thing. Signings can change the attitude around the club. Getting the right people through the door.
You've noticed it just in a week, Scott.
Yeah.
Just in a week, people's comments have changed. Like over the last few shows, it's like, as you said, mate, a couple of signings and it changes the whole attitude around the fan base. If you get the right signings in as well, it changes everything. Obviously, these players have got to come in and work. They've got to click and make a difference. But it's a good start.
That's it. This is while we're talking about attitudes. This one here, Cristiano had an ego and it lasted 22 years. You've just got to be able to back it up, and he is right there. In what he's saying, you can have the odd player with a bad attitude, but they've got to have the talent to be able to carry that attitude. And that's the thing.
I've always looked at players and players that, like, one player that springs to mind who I always thought was so arrogant, but he was class, was Eric Cantona.
Yep.
He's another player. We had it at West Ham a few years ago with Marko Arnautovic. Absolute bastard. Horrible player to play against. But when he's in your team, you love him. Di Canio, another one.
Yeah. But that's the thing, mate. I think if you've got that attitude about you, you've got to put the effort in every single game. And that's one thing with Arnautovic, what he did. That's the one thing with him, and that's with Ronaldo is completely different. He is a talent, and he's the thing with him. He's earned the right to have a bit of an ego. That's the difference. People like Duran, and Jackson, they haven't.
Someone just said there, fine example, Ravel Morrison had all the talent. Ex-players that we spoke to that have played with him said he was one of the best they've ever seen. Alex Song, I think, mentioned it before. That when he played with him, one of the biggest talents he's ever seen. And Alex Song played with Messi.
That was it, wasn't it? I think the question was, who's the best left-footed player you've ever played with? And he said Morrison.
And
like you said,
as you said, Ronaldo's arrogant, but he's got a right to be arrogant. He's one of the greatest players ever played football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ibrahimovic, how did he come across on the pitch? You know what I mean? But he had the stats to back it up, and that's the thing about it, And sometimes when they've got that attitude, it doesn't always. It's weird because as a person and the things that they do for charity and stuff like that, on the pitch they look like that type of bastard, but off the pitch they're a bit different. You see, you can get it like that way. So, but it's about. It's just, the famous saying, staying humble.
Another one now. Before we signed Craig Bellamy, everyone said, don't go near him. He's a nightmare. But he was brilliant for us and no trouble whatsoever. So I'm saying, you see all these players that you see them and you think, oh, what an arsehole. But then when they sign for you, you realise that what they do is effective and you end up falling in love with them. So I'm all for it. I love a player that's got a bit of arrogance and a bit of attitude on him. I think you got to be, as you said, you got to be special to have it. But no, if you put it off, mate, love it.
Yeah, that's it. John said, is Freddie Potts good enough? This is talking about the debate where we were saying whether with Morton and Elliott coming in, it pushed him down the thing. we just don't know. He's got the attributes. He had a fantastic season in Championship last season with Portsmouth. Time will tell. Pre-season will tell whether he has got it and whether he can cut it. That's the risk with youngsters, and it's very, very hard for them. He's got another comment here.
Until he's chucked in the first team, we will never know. So it's a big summer for Freddie Potts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, he's back with another comment. Would you take Grealish or Elliott? So which one? If you had to pick one, what one would you take out of the two?
For me, it'd be Elliott. As much as I like Grealish, Elliott would be a permanent signing. He's 22 years old and he's got a huge future in the game. I think Grealish, as I said, would be a great signing on loan, but I just don't see it being a permanent transfer. And Harvey Elliott is one for the future. And so me personally, I don't know if you agree or not, Scott, but me personally, I would prefer Harvey Elliott. I want both. I'm a greedy bastard.
and that's it. That's the thing. It would be ideal to have both, but if you look at it, you look at longevity. If you're signing a player like Harvey Elliott, you've got to look at it from a business sense and a footballing sense. You get the young, hungry player who's up and coming on his career, who's going to eventually, if he keeps going in the right direction, get into the England squad, increase his value. Whereas Grealish, you're getting more of a finished article because the player's a bit more experienced and been around a lot more. But resale-wise, ain't going to be a lot of value in him. So it's just how you want to. It's how you look at it. Football is a footballing reason to sign them both, but there's also a financial reason to go for one over the top of the other.
Yeah. Rich West Ham said, Noble said Arnie never had an attitude off the pitch. Apparently really calm, just crazy on the pitch. Most players are like that. Most players that are on the pitch, they're absolutely crackers and nuts and absolute bastards. Off the pitch, are quiet. One of my heroes, Julian Dix, absolute nutter on the pitch. You meet him off the pitch, very down to earth, very quiet, likes the quiet life. It's crazy, which leads into, don't forget, we have got a night with Julian Dix at the Brewdog Pub, Wednesday, August the 27th. Tickets are flying. I think they're sold over half already and not even properly advertised it. So there's early bird tickets. So if you fancy a night out, watching us interview Julian Dix, I can't wait. I'm buzzing. He's my hero. I can't wait to be sitting on stage with him. Come down. It's always a good night at the Brewdog. So yeah, tickets are still available. Head over to our Twitter or to Brewdog Upminster's Instagram or Twitter page and get the tickets in there. But I will post a link after the show in the comments. So yeah, come and join us. See, good marketing that, Scott.
See, seamless link there, son. Seamless link. I like it. I've got a couple more comments before we move on there. Alex says, Morton is best mates with Elliott. So putting two and two together, signing Morton makes it easier to sign Elliott. Ben says, with Sullivan negotiating, we'll end up with Harvey Price. H Wizzle, is this $9.99 super chat? Thank you very much for that. Hope you're all good, lads. Love the content as always. I know lack of transfers pisses off the fans, but what pisses me off is a lack of investment into our training complex. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think we've made our feelings and thoughts clear over the last few years about that. We'd all love to have a top training ground and training facilities and that, but for me, I think that will come eventually, whether it'll take another 5 years, 10 years. I know they're looking at different sites to try to build a new training complex around Essex Way. So, yeah, I mean, that's something that I think the club will probably more happen once Sullivan sells and we get a bigger investor in and something like that. But, yeah, it's something that we'd all love to see because you do get jealous sometimes when you see other clubs in their training facilities and that. But, yeah, it's something that I think that we're years away from, but hopefully it will get sorted sooner rather than later.
That's it, mate. Look, it's we've said many a time that it's a bit, when you look at what we're trying to be, the fact that we don't own our own stadium, we rent the stadium and we rent it at such a cheap price that the state of the training complex, look, it looks nice, but it looks nice as porta cabins. Do you know what I mean? It's not a state-of-the-art Premier League training complex, which is what you expect from an established Premier League club. So yeah, it needs massive improvements. We've said it all along for a long time that it does. Especially when you look at this Championship sides out there with better training complexes than what we got. So it's quite embarrassing, really. M5 Emma, we need to get rid of James Ward-Prowse first. Soucek gives us 100% every game and would run through a brick wall for us. I would keep him. I think a lot of people say very similar. CY says 100%, 30 million, no less. That's on Soucek's price tag. Sorry. Jamesy says, yeah, he has a presence, and that's it. I think a lot of people are in agreement. As much as he ain't the best baller in the team, he does offer something. So it's he'll split opinions. Soucek always splits opinions. That's the thing with him.
Yeah. This leads perfectly into our next. I think Randy can see our script. Apparently, Grasshoppers. Yeah. So the preseason kicks off for us tomorrow. We are playing Grasshopper Zurich, 2 p.m. kickoff, UK time, British summer time, live on West Ham's YouTube channel. It's going to be probably a game where it'll be two teams. First half team, second half team, mixture of youth and experience. I'm out tomorrow, but I am going to have it on the phone because it's on the YouTube channel, so I will keep an eye on it. Looking forward to it, because when you see the players around doing all the training, the bike rides and that, but the real pre-season training is done on the pitch. This is where you get your minutes. This is where you get your fitness. This is where you come up against different opposition. I mean, Grasshopper Zurich, I think they're obviously a famous Swiss team, won the league titles. So it will be a tough team to play against. But, I've always been one of these, Scott. I'm not really fussed about pre-season results. I want to see the players getting their fitness and trying to work out what team's going to start against Sunderland. Obviously, I want to win the game. Like when we go to this tournament next week in America, I obviously want to see us be lifting that trophy and winning that tournament because it brings confidence. And players just want to win games. So, I'm looking forward to it.
No, that's it, mate. And that's the thing. It is more, especially these opening games, they're more about getting the fitness levels up, getting your minutes in your body. So that you get more and more pitch time, get that match fitness levels where they need to be. Because you can do as much training and work in the gym, but there's nothing different to it, playing games and having that match fitness. So I'm not going to read too much into it. Even I want to see us go and perform out in America and do well. But when you're getting to the last 2 or 3 friendlies before the start of the season, that's when you want to see the click. You know what I mean? You want to see the teams performing. You want to have a look at how we're going to look to line up and find that best starting 11. Obviously make through pre-season without picking up any silly little injuries and stuff like that. But tomorrow I'm not reading too much into it. So long as the players get minutes under their belt and we don't get embarrassed, that's the key point. I don't think we will. But I'm not going to read too much into tomorrow. It'd be nice to see it, nice to get football back. Especially putting last season behind us.
Yeah, and it'd be good to see a few of the youngsters. Obviously, we spoke a lot about Freddie Potts, but there's other youngsters that are looking to break into the first team squad. So it'd be good to see them get a run out and probably mix a few of the players in with the likes of Bowen, Fulkrug, and all the other regular starters and first team players for West Ham. So yeah, it's good. It's nice. Obviously, I didn't watch a lot of the Club World Cup, but I did watch the final last week, Chelsea PSG, and when you start watching games of football, like last night, I watched the Lionesses. Like, you're wanting the season to start now. You just want to get it to come round and to see West Ham back in action tomorrow, even though it's a pre-season. Obviously, the proper pre-season starts next week when we fly out to America. So, I think we play Man United in our first game next Sunday, which they're looking like they're going to have a new striker going out with them, Mbeumo from Brentford, 71 million for him. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's a lot of money. But the thing is, mate, that's how much he's worth for Brentford. He's been absolutely fantastic for them over the last couple of seasons.
Mate. Brentford have stood their ground, and that's what they want from him. I think they're linked with Wissa's linked of Lean and Newcastle, and they're asking a similar sort of money. So, look, he's their player, so fair play to him. But, yeah, Man United are sort of starting again. It'd be interesting to see their lineup against us because obviously they've signed Kuna, Mabrema. They've got a couple of other additions in. So it'd be interesting. You know, Man United are starting doing like a reset, in there. They're like, because when, no disrespect to these two clubs, but when did you ever know Man United to sign players from Brentford and Wolves? You know, so
and this is it, mate. And this is the thing now. It's a lot of clubs on a rebuild. You know, we're on a rebuild, and you know, it's going to be an interesting season. I think going into this one, it's there'll be a lot of battles everywhere. You know, and this is why we need to really, really improve because I think teams that were down there around us are improving. You know, you got the 3 teams that have come up. Wolves probably have not really improved. You know, they've lost their best player already. But the fact that we finished above United and Spurs, and they're both going out signing the type of players that they're signing, who you know, Mbama, he's a proven Premier League goal scorer. You know, he's done it for Brentford for the past couple of seasons. So he's going to be a massive threat and a massive boost for Man United. But, you know, this is why we've got to get our business sorted and get our business done and dusted so that we can get the fresh legs in, get the players in, get the dead wood out that Potter deems that he doesn't want. We need to be doing this now. I need to be getting all the deals over the board in the next couple of weeks so that we can have 3 or 4 weeks leading into the start of the season where he can put a side out of players that he's going to say, right, you know, these guys, 7 or 8 of these guys are guaranteed to be starting at the start of the season. Start playing the way I want you to play. Get used to playing with each other, and let's hit the ground running. Because I said this earlier in, you know, at the end of last season and sort of a couple of weeks ago. Potter needs to hit the ground running. He cannot afford to stumble over the line 3 or 4 games into the season. You know, he needs to hit the ground running and have a good base of points at the start of the season to fall back on because it's going to be a long, tough season and he's got a lot to prove.
To be fair, Scott, it ain't going to be that hard to improve on last season, is it? Fucking hell, we were terrible. But someone's just talking of Wolves. I've seen Wolves are inducting Diogo Jota into their Hall of Fame. Great from Wolves. Obviously, Liverpool have retired the number 20 jersey as well. Still, I've got no connections with Diogo Jota. He's never played for a club that I support. But you know, watching him as a player, he was a brilliant player, and he scored against us a few times. He was always one of them players that you think, you know, you'd love someone like him at your club. And it's just so, even 2 weeks now it's still tragic. You see all the flowers at Liverpool, and it's going to take a long time for Liverpool and the world of football. Everyone connected with a game and that loves football to get over something like that. Because when something like that happens, it don't matter who you support. You know, you just got to feel for him, his brother, the families. It's just it was tragic, like terrible.
That's it, mate. No, you know, like you said, you know, Liverpool retiring the shirt, they're going to pay. I think they're paying his widow and his family his wages as well. You know, up until the end of what would have been the end of his contract. So it's good to see that the club are supporting him through a tough time, because especially losing someone that young and leaving 3 young children, you know, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
I think it's that's one game that I think that people, whoever you support, will be looking forward to seeing Liverpool versus Wolves this season, just to see like the tributes. And I think Liverpool are on the first game of the season. They're Friday night football against Bournemouth, I want to say. So obviously they'll be talking about it, and but his name will live on forever now. You know, in the world of football, no one will forget him and his brother. Yeah, so great from Wolves and Liverpool to do that.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
Got any more comments, Scott?
No, that's it, mate. I've gone through. There's a few people reiterating what we said about it's good to see. You know, let's find some here. Proper Miss Amaret says proper humble bloke, taken way too young. There's a few more. I've lost where I was now. Sorry, but yeah, a lot of people saying a similar thing. You know, respect to Liverpool. Matt said there for everything that they're doing for his family. So it's look, that'd be one to watch. That first game of the season would be one to watch as well. But as I said, it's starting to pick up pace now. We're starting to see players through the door. Starting to see this. You're feeling now the season is coming, and I think a few more signings through the door. Get it done early. I think it'd be a good start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had transfer talk. We've had all week. We've had people being happy. We've had hissy fits, and we've also had a new away kit.
So, yes, totally forgot about that.
Let's talk about that. Let's get your thoughts on that, Scott. So both kits are out now. There is a third one to come out, rumored to be navy and yellow, I think it is, or navy and gold, or something like that. But what's your thoughts on the new away kit, Scott? Very mixed opinions on it. I'll be honest with you. I actually don't mind it. I think it's quite smart with the navy shorts and the socks. And yeah, it could have had a little bit more design on it, but sometimes plain is better. Plain is simple.
Do you know,
I like it.
You know what, mate? Right, out of the home and away, the home, as plain as it wasn't good. This one ain't bad. When
I think the photos don't do it justice because it does look a lot more. It looks a lot more whiter than I say cream because what is it? Ecro, whatever it is. I can't say that.
Yeah, it's cream.
Quick cream.
No, that's it, mate, and that's the thing. And it looks quite nice, but like the home kit, as soon as you go, and it's that be on as soon as you go like that, and you see that massive green patch, right?
Yeah,
on a cream kit.
I got this. This is what really frustrates me, right?
Yeah.
Now I understand sponsorships and I understand it brings money to the club, but why do the fans have to suffer with that? Let the players wear it. The sponsors are more cared about players wearing it than the fans. Like you can buy kits without Betway on them, so you should be given the option to not have that green. Or if you are going to have that, I know they're the colours of the sponsor, but at least go with the colours of the kit. If that had been in navy, you'd sort of put up with it, wouldn't you? You'd think to yourself, okay, it's and like on the home shirt, if it was in white or light blue, you think, yeah, okay, you get away with it. But I don't know. It really frustrates me that fans, because I bet a lot of people don't buy kits because of them patches.
Exactly, mate. That's it. There's got to be a way to get it off. And if anyone knows, let me know, because obviously when I do get one, I want to get that off of it because I don't want to walk around with that big green thing on the side. But I said this.
Wear a captain's armband.
I just roll that sleeve up, innit? Start a new trend. But it's like we were saying this last week, right? How it blends in. You look at the shirt you've got on now, right? You look at the sleeve sponsor on that shirt now, right? It blends into the kit. Yeah, you've got a white kit. Sorry, with
I've got a what? A white what?
A white kit.
A
white kit. But do you know what I mean? It goes with the shirt.
It was a bit Chelsea with a lion,
but
it blends in. It blends in. You're right, Scott. Blend in.
And that's the thing. It was we had the same thing with a JD spot last year with a big white on the white arm with a big black spot. Change it up. We know we know who you are. We know who QuickBooks are, but you don't need bright green on white or cream or claret. Just have your logo, just change your colour or get rid of it off the shirt.
To be fair, Scott, it could have been like that. We could look like this in a couple of seasons, like that one I sent in the group earlier. That one there.
Oh, mate.
Look at that.
I don't know what team that is, mate, but that's awful, isn't it?
It's a German team. I don't know if that's zoomed in or not, or you can see it clearly.
It's a bit blurry, but you can see it. It's literally like every inch of the shirt's covered with a sponsor.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Shorts, socks, everything's got a sponsor on it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Good marketing.
Ridiculous.
We'll have players running around in a couple of years' time with fucking golf sale signs holding up. Remember when you used to get that golf sale this way? Yeah, fucking club shop sale. Bowen's on the attack, and then all of a sudden he stops and advertises the club shop sale.
Now, do you know what it'll be in the future, mate? You watch this, right? A player will score a goal, yeah, and as he celebrates, a hologram will pop up above him or something, and this goal was sponsored by Budweiser or something crazy like that, mate. That's what you're going to start seeing. Honestly, it's going to get ridiculous.
Very like Super Bowl.
yeah. And that's the mad thing. Look, the World Cup's going to be like a Super Bowl, isn't it? Next year. Mate, they're talking about halftime shows.
If last week's anything to go by, mate, that World Cup in America, Canada, and Mexico is going to last about 6 months. Honestly, I felt sorry for the players last week, and they come out and done their warm up, and then they had to wait 45 minutes to come out because Robbie Williams was singing with some woman. Then the game kicked off, and then half time, Coldplay come on and started singing. That was about half hour long.
Yeah, you can't.
And the funniest bit after the game was Donald Trump, though. That was so funny. and that meme that went round with Cole Palmer saying, "What Cole Palmer's thinking? Why is the bloke from Home Alone 2 on stage with us?" He looked so confused. Confused.
It was like the way he started disappearing backwards, like Homer going into the bush in The Simpsons.
Yeah, could you imagine how many snipers they had on that roof? Because when the Chelsea players started celebrating and jumping all over Trump, I'm thinking to myself, "Fuck me, one of these are going to get taken out." Yeah.
That's it, mate. But we'll see how that works. See how that works next year. Be interesting.
Be an interesting, World Cup. But I think that's it, Scott. Unless you've got anything else, mate, that you want to talk about before we go, get something off your chest. Come on, we're all here to support you, Scott.
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. We're in a good place today, so we're all right. We're both smiling. Much more positive in the chat, and positive news around the club is what we want to see. So let's keep the positive vibe. Get a nice little pre-season, even though the results don't matter. A nice little pre-season win tomorrow, and then bring in some more new signings next week, please, West Ham.
Let's hope that next week. We said it last week. Let's hope that this week's show we'll have a couple of signings to talk about, 1 or 2. We have. Let's hope that next week's show. Let's hope that during next week there's a bit more positive news coming in, a couple more signings, and we can start getting ready for that game on against Sunderland on the opening day. So I really enjoyed it tonight, mate. Gone quick. I'm very hot. My back is sweating. I keep trying to open the door, but the neighbours' kids are out in the garden. They're proper shouting, so I had to keep shutting the door. But I'm sweating in this little office. But no, I've enjoyed it, mate.
Very good, mate.
I'm a lot lighter in weight than when I started the show with all this sweating. So so now I'm just gonna go and sit down, chill out. And watch some. I think don't know what I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna find something nice to watch.
Chill out for a bit, mate. That's it.
It's been a long week.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you to everyone in the chat for joining in, putting up your comment. I know we didn't get that many up tonight, but no, we always read them and see them, so appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight, watching wherever you are in the world. And hope you're over here, Babe Station. Yeah, I might get away with that. You're away, so I might get away with that. But no, look, Scott, I hope you have a good weekend. As you said, mate, I hope West Ham win tomorrow. Have a good start to pre-season. And hope everyone in the chat has a good weekend. And Scott, one thing left to say.
Come on, you Irons.
This is the awkward bit.